All right, let's go into a little NFL Week 7 takeaways. What happening out in Cleveland? Deshaun Watson goes down. As of the recording of this podcast, you don't know the actual injury, but quick reportings. It was an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
We watched a replay in slow-mo. It was like the Aaron Rodgers injury. You just see a run up the calf.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson goes down in 18 games for the Browns. Prior leading up to this one, he had 19 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, completed 60% of his passes, 179 yards per game he averaged, looked absolutely vacant. And Deshaun Watson, we know the reason he ended up in Cleveland. We know why he ended up there, how the Haslams had to give him 100% guaranteed money just for him to go there. Couldn't happen to a worse guy.
Yeah, I mean...
There's the, Deshaun go.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, the fans cheering and all that stuff, that's not my business. I'll let them handle that out there in Cleveland on their sports talk radio and all their shows that they're doing. I don't give a damn about that. I don't like cheering for players to get hurt. But I tell you one thing. I'll say this about their franchise at this point. I just think the whole thing's a shame because that roster is so good and so talented.
Yep.
And I've been saying this for years. There's Browns fans that don't even really agree with me, but I personally really like Kevin Stefanski. I think he can coach. But, look, we know what's going to happen to him. He's going to get fired. Mm-hmm. And if I'm the Browns at this point, Deshaun obviously done for this season and likely for next season too with this Achilles.
Yeah.
I would really start the rebuild now. And what I mean by that is you have so much talent on that roster, as I mentioned. I would start moving pieces. I would. Myles Garrett, all of them. Anyone who can play. We saw Amari Cooper get out of there, but that's because he was miserable and letting that be known.
Yeah.
If I'm Myles Garrett and the rest of them, I'm saying get me the hell out of here. And I just start stockpiling as many picks as possible. And I'm also trying to figure out how to move off of Deshaun Watson as well. Eventually,
they're stuck with that. There's no moving off of that.
You're for sure stuck with them this season and next season. But I would obviously draft a quarterback and just start rebuilding. And then when he is healthy, I'm trying to get away from him too. I mean, hell, we've seen it with bad quarterbacks. You're able to get something, move him off, and if not, maybe you just got to eat the money and get him the hell out of there. But my rebuild, bringing in a new coach. Stockpiling as many picks as possible.
You don't need to bring in a new coach. Keep Kevin Stefanski.
They're not going to keep him.
You were stuck with Deshaun Watson.
They're not keeping Stefanski.
The Patriots, the Browns were the worst offense in the NFL. The Patriots are now the worst offense in the NFL because Deshaun Watson went bad. That's how bad he was because he went down.
Yeah, but they're not keeping Stefanski. You know that.
Who's gonna be the head coach? Grass ain't always greener.
I'm not saying so. I like Stefanski.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they're firing him. That's not a discussion. He's going to be gone at the end of this year.
I wouldn't put it past the Haslams.
What?
I would not put it past the Haslams to fire him.
Yeah.
But on the same, you put up, you should fire Gerard Mayo in a vacuum. In a vacuum, you keep Kevin Stefanski.
But they're not.
What head coach can make that work with Deshaun Watson?
I agree, but they're not. Okay, so you're going to have a new head coach, stockpile some draft picks, and then when he is back healthy, I got to figure something out. I got to get rid of this guy. You got to get rid of Deshaun and just start the rebuild all over again in Cleveland, which I know they're tired of hearing, especially when they had a roster that was capable of winning. They just rolled the dice with the wrong guy in Deshaun Watson. And we all saw it coming.
Anyone could have told them that.
Anyone could have told him.
Just how stupid that ownership is in Cleveland, where they gave a 100% guaranteed contract, which never happens in the NFL.
Yep.
They gave him a $233 million, 100% guaranteed. Dak just got the highest guaranteed number for any quarterback. It was $231 million guaranteed. They were 5 years ahead of the market, those morons. They gave 100% guaranteed. With Deshaun Watson going down, this team will get a boost. They will finish with Deshaun Watson at this point as a Cleveland Browns quarterback 9-10 in games that he started. That is a reflection on how good the roster is around him that they won 9 of 19 games with him starting. But he was vacant, literally dropping back there vacant, just not good.
Yep.
And it's going to bring down the rest of the roster. They're going to check out because my job's on the line, but this guy can absolutely suck it out there completely up and down the field. And he's not being held accountable. An Alex Van Pelt and the tight ends coach and running back coach, they were all fired because Joe Flacco played better than them. The Browns went into this game with Jameis Winston as their emergency quarterback because they're trying to hush and silence the start Jameis chants. Ironic it happened in this game, but he'll be a starter, and we're going to see the uptick from this roster.
Yes.
If I'm the Haslams, what I'm doing now is I'm calling my lawyer and go, if he plays or doesn't play next season, it still counts, right? Like that, his contract isn't delayed. Like we're done, right? Same timeline. We're done in 2. That's what I'm doing if I'm them.
Yeah.
How do I get out of this as soon as possible?
have to.
And when he gets back, I just go, I'm not playing him. I do not care.
That's
Get
right.
him out of the building. The Browns are better off.
Yep.
And this roster, maybe we'll see an uptick now.
Is this the last game we'll see Deshaun Watson play for the Browns? Yes or no?
Yes.
Agreed.
I'll say that.
Me too.
He was terrible. And they were looking for ways to get out of it.
too.
They were exploring it.
We
they were
agree.
literally looking how they can get out of that contract.
We agree.
But the guy has so much money, he can make any settlement happen outside of the court. So all these accusations that come up that are absolutely awful, and they're all consistent, and it's over 24 of them, he has so much money, he can make them go away, and that's the only reason he was playing football. Like, that is what was happening with him. That's the only reason he was allowed to be in public at this point. So, I don't know. You're better than me. I saw it go down. I'm not saying I was rooting for that to happen, but I wasn't feeling bad.
Yeah, nor should you. I don't think anyone was.
Real quick, talking about quarterbacks. Packers beat the Texans 24-22. Packers defense pressured C.J. Stroud 50% of dropbacks. He finished with 86 passing yards, 10 for 21 from the field. Insane.
Yeah.
And his Packers offense, Jordan Love leading the NFL with interceptions at this point, making a lot of bad choices, a lot of mistakes, but in a shootout, you say it could be a Super Bowl preview. I don't hate it. That'd be long shots, but could happen.
Bro.
How about Brandon McManus? Game-winning field goal was signed this week. 24-22. It's a game-winning field goal after the Texans kicker, Fairburn, hit a go-ahead field goal on the possession before.
I know, at first glance, you may think, Packers, Texans, Super Bowl? Ew, who wants to see that? But think about this. The league would win if we get a rematch in the Super Bowl, which I think is totally possible because C.J. Stroud's not going to be that bad again, you would think. And as bad, I don't even like saying as bad as he was. I have to give credit to the Packers defense.
Yeah.
But as much as he struggled in that game, they still almost won the game. Like, it's just, I think.
Yeah. Joe Mixon was great.
Yeah. You look at the Texans, I say this every week, and all the Chiefs do is keep winning, but they just are vulnerable. And it's so obvious, right? And it's so hard to three-peat in anything. I mean, hell, me and you could play Connect 4 right now. It's going to be tough to find someone to win three times in a row. It just is what it is. Rock, paper, scissors, you name it. Mm-hmm. So I have a hard time believing that the Chiefs are going to win yet again. And I'm looking at teams like the Texans who are on the come-up. I mean, they could get this done, and they could get to the Super Bowl and win the AFC. Obviously, you think of the Ravens as well, but we know Lamar's struggles in the postseason. And the Packers in a wide-open NFC right now with the Niners sort of reeling. Obviously Lions would have something to say about it, but they lose their best defensive weapon in Hutch.
Yeah.
I think the Packers could be there. This could be a Super Bowl preview that we watched. It was a tremendous game, and if we get a rematch, I think I bet on the Texans.
Packers-Texans Super Bowl, that would be cool to see.
I think it'd be cool.
Packers' run defense does concern me. And as we just saw what the Lions did, handing the Vikings their first loss of the season, fresh off the Aiden Hutchinson loss, and that one was a shootout. That was an exciting game.
Yeah.
The Lions team is still legit.